There comes a moment in every human life when the world grows heavier than you expected, heavier than you were prepared for, a moment when life does not tap you on the shoulder gently. It hits you in the chest, steals your breath, and waits to see if you'll collapse. And in that silence, in that violent pause between who you were and who you are about to become, a question whispers, "What will you do now?" Most people break long before the world truly tries to break them. They crumble at the first sign of resistance. They surrender to the first storm. They believe hardship is a message that life has chosen someone else. But the truth that history's greatest minds understood, is that life does not break you to destroy you. Life breaks you to reveal you. It bends you not to weaken you, but to teach you the structure of your own spine. It tests you not to punish you, but to awaken the strength you had forgotten was yours. Every giant you admire, Lincoln, Edison, Carnegie, Ford, Disney, walked through seasons so dark that ordinary minds would have quit long before dawn. Lincoln battled depression deeper than oceans. Edison failed 10,000 times before he lit a single bulb. Carnegie came from a one-room house and fought through poverty sharp enough to cut the soul. Disney went bankrupt, betrayed and laughed at by everyone with a comfortable life and no imagination. And through it all, they discovered the same universal principle. When life tries to break you, it is inviting you to rise into the person you were meant to become. But rising is not automatic. Rising is not accidental. Rising is not for the weak-minded or the faint-hearted. Rising is an art, crafted through belief, discipline, clarity, and an unshakable decision that you will not be defined by the blows you receive, but by the strength with which you stand back up. The world will tell you that people succeed because they are lucky, because they are chosen, because they are gifted. But if you study the greatest stories ever written in human effort, you will see a different pattern. They succeeded because they kept moving when every voice said stop. They kept believing when every fact said give up. They kept building when every circumstance said this is pointless. They rose again and again, not because they felt strong, but because they refused to stay on the ground. There is a moment in your journey when life will strip you of the illusion that strength comes from comfort. It does not. Comfort builds softness. Struggle builds power. Hardship builds hunger. Adversity forges identity. You cannot become the strongest version of yourself while living the weakest version of your life. So when the pressure comes, and it will, do not assume something has gone wrong. Pressure is the birthplace of diamonds. Fire is the birthplace of steel. Winter is the birthplace of roots strong enough to survive any storm. When you feel lost, you are not failing. You are being redirected. When you feel broken, you are not done. You are being rebuilt. When you feel abandoned, you are not alone. You are being asked to stand up with your own power. When life hits you hardest, the universe is not pushing you down. It is pushing you forward, but the question remains, will you rise? Not with half-hearted hope, not with the shallow positivity that disappears the moment difficulty returns, but with that deep internal decision that says, I will not leave this world as the person this pain tried to create. I will rise as the person I decide to become. Because rising is not just about getting back up. Anyone can stand. Rising means elevating, transforming, becoming wiser, kinder, stronger, clearer, more disciplined, more focused than you were before the world tried to break you. This is the turning point of every destiny. The day you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, who am I becoming because of this? When you shift from blaming life to claiming life, you become unstoppable. And it begins right here, right now, with the reconstruction of your mind. You cannot rise with the same mindset that kept you down. You cannot rebuild your life with the same beliefs that allowed it to collapse. When life tries to break you, it forces you into a crossroads. Either you cling to the mindset that created the problem, or you evolve into the mindset that will create the solution. Every breakthrough in history came from someone who refused to think the way the world told them to think. Ford was mocked for dreaming of an engine that ran without a horse. Edison was ridiculed for believing he could capture light inside glass. The Wright brothers were declared insane for thinking humans could fly. But the world always mocks the mind that rises above it, until that same mind becomes the reason the world changes, and so the real battle begins inside your own imagination. The imagination is not a place for fantasies, it is the workshop of your future. Napoleon Hill said it best, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, but the part most people forget is this: the mind must conceive it during the storm, not after it. Anyone can imagine greatness when life is kind, but the people who rise are those who imagine greatness while standing in the middle of chaos. You rise the moment you stop allowing your environment to dictate your vision. Your environment is temporary. Your vision is eternal. Life can strip you of almost everything: money, stability, certainty, comfort, even the people you trusted. But it cannot touch your imagination unless you hand it over willingly. The mind is the last territory of freedom. Guard it like a sacred kingdom, because whatever survives the war in your mind becomes the blueprint for the life you build once the dust settles. This is why clarity matters. Not vague goals, not wishful dreaming, clarity, a sharp, unshakable picture of the future you are building. When life tries to break you, clarity becomes your anchor. When everything around you feels uncertain, clarity becomes your compass. When fear grows louder than reason, clarity becomes your shield. If you study anyone who rose from nothing, whether it was Carnegie with his steel empire, Opera rising from deep trauma, or J.K. Rowling writing on scraps of paper with the world collapsing around her, you will see the same truth. They saw the destination long before they had any path. You don't need the road, you need the resolve. The road appears only after the resolve is made, but clarity alone isn't enough. You must also cultivate belief, not the empty kind that collapses at the first tremor of difficulty, but the kind forged through conscious choice. Belief is not emotion, belief is discipline, belief is repetition, belief is telling your mind the truth you choose even when the world screams the opposite. There will be mornings when you don't feel strong. There will be nights when your heart feels hollow. There will be seasons when your confidence is nothing but a whisper. But belief isn't measured by how loud it is. It's measured by how long it stays. And yes, there will be moments when life tries to break you through people. People who doubt you, betray you, abandon you, laugh at your dreams, or tell you you're reaching too high. But hear this clearly: sometimes life removes the wrong people to make room for the right version of you. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. Not everyone has the strength to walk with someone who is rising. And not everyone can stay loyal when you begin to grow beyond the limits they accepted for themselves. When life pulls people away from you, it is not robbing you, it is refining you. That refinement continues through adversity, because adversity is not punishment. Adversity is direction. Every difficulty you face is a deliberate invitation to learn the skill that your future demands. Pain teaches resilience, failure teaches strategy, rejection teaches clarity, isolation teaches self-reliance, fear teaches courage, loss teaches appreciation. There is no growth in the absence of struggle. There is no transformation without discomfort, and there is no rising without resistance. The weight that feels unbearable today will become the strength you rely on tomorrow, but only if you lift it. Only if you carry it. Only if you refuse to run from it. So when life tries to break you, remember this: you are not being destroyed, you are being discovered. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. You are not losing everything. You are losing only what you don't need for the next chapter. And when you begin to understand this, when you truly see adversity not as an enemy but as a sculptor, you step into the greatest power any human being can possess, the power to rise on command. But rising is not merely a mindset, it is a daily ritual, a discipline, a commitment to act even when your heart feels fractured, because nothing in your life changes until your habits change. Nothing in your story transforms until your actions transform. and nothing inside you rises until your behaviors rise with it. And so the next layer of rising begins with one word, discipline.